Okay, so since we just want to start again, we just introduced ourselves, but we're just recording this event because we want this to be something that we can share with you and share with others because it's a very important seminar that we're having today. This is the first of the year, 2021. It's a new year, and Aljoya Mercer Island brings you beautiful events like this throughout the year, helping our clients move from one place to another with maybe downsizing, different events throughout the year, health related events. So we are Larry Almo and
I'm David Biggs.
and we just want to tell you just a little bit about Aljoya Mercer Island. Yes, we are a premier retirement community. We're located in the heart of Mercer Island. Our residents tell us it's the most fantastic place to live. We have all the amenities, beautiful location, beautiful courtyard, great shops all around us, walking past. It's just a beautiful place to live. Of course, at any time or at the end, we'll have our names and numbers on it, David and I, so you can get in touch with us. But the main thing why we're here today is, what is it like? We're talking about one of your biggest assets that you have, and we have 2021. The market is up, your portfolio is up, your values of your home have gone up. Aljoya Mercer Island just had the vaccine. We've had our first vaccine here, and then we have the second one on February 2nd. So things are going to be starting to open up. And now you have to think seriously, what are my next steps to do with making a move from Aljoya Mercer Island? From your home to Aljoya Mercer Island. So we have a team of experts that are with us today. I know them personally. I've dealt with them for a long time. We have lots of choices on who we can bring in to educate our potential residents. But we have Tammy, Gwinn, and Lindsey Bundy. Their office is 1 block away from us. So they're local, they're Mercer Island. And we've asked them to join us today. And of course, we want this to be interactive. They're going to talk, they have a slideshow, but if a question comes to mind, don't be shy, put it in the chat box. And or you want, when they ask you questions, please feel free. We want this to be an open forum because we all learn from each other. So now I would like to turn it over to Tammy and Lindsey, and please take it away. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you, Larry, very much. I'm Lindsey.
Tammy, which one's Lindsey?
Yeah,
I'm Tammy.
I'm Lindsey.
Okay.
And so we just want to first of all thank Larry and Aljoya for the heart that you have for your community and your residents, given this interesting time that we're navigating with COVID and everything, that you just really saw a need to really reach out to everybody to set this webinar up so that you can provide encouragement and processes and really eliminate hopefully some stress that your residents and community members may be feeling as they're making this big decision and to their next journey. So again, we want to thank you for asking us to be a part of this event, and we're very honored. And again, we are looking forward to any questions as we move through the seminar. Most importantly, asking questions then also allows us to understand what our audience is processing and different ways that we can help support that in the moment. And then there's other people out there that may not have a chance to ask the question. So your question may really help complement what they may be thinking as well. So again, thank you, Larry. Thank you, Aljoya.
Thank you.
We'll take it away.
So we're just going to kind of go through here, and again, we get a lot of questions, and then probably if you have a question, someone else has that question. So most importantly, it's interactive and informative. So thank you. Just kind of starting high level, one of the most important things that we know involved in this transition, it's not just about moving. It's not just about your house. It's really about all the components that all of us are processing as we, move into different chapters of our life. And when we're talking about, the senior and the transition, there's really 4 key areas, right? It's legal, finance, health, and housing, and they all interact together. So your health and your housing and your finances, they all play together. So we really pride ourselves on taking kind of all of that into consideration and being a part of the team to help you make the best decision. And it's really about where and how you want to kind of age in your in your housing options. And when it does get to a time where perhaps one of the options isn't something that staying in your home is an option, then there's some great choices out there. And that's really where we focus. And then that becomes such an overwhelming and daunting task. We've sat at several seminars. Everybody knows what you have to do. Like, you have to sort things, you have to move things, you have to just disperse things, however that is. And the idea is almost paralyzing and daunting. So we really saw a need in really going further upstream on that piece and being a part of the team where you're moving with your family and your friends and your support group and your caregivers to really expedite that process and minimize the stress going forward. And that's, part of our education on, that's really part of the education on what we've done. And it's really part of what let me get our PowerPoint up here of what we do and how, here, this is a little example of how we partner with everybody along the way. And we partner way in advance to just kind of educate, make aware, and keep the conversations going. The senior real estate specialist is a certification, and it's a designation that you attend. It's an education process through the National Board of Realtors and the King County Real Estate Association. And it's really geared towards the specific needs that our senior community has. And as we age, what our needs are going to be. And we have the opportunity to work with several people. And it's a lot of it's family. For instance, my mom is 80, I'm 61, she's 85, and we're working to get her make this decision before it's a challenge. What we found, and this is where the senior real estate designation comes in, is it's really two situations in which we are participating in this transition. And one, it's unfortunate, but it's typically an urgent or an accident or a fall or some type of medical incident that requires someone to make a quick decision, a fast decision. And anytime you make a quick, fast decision, your options are limited and it costs more money. And we're really trying, unfortunately, we see that a lot. And I think everyone involved does, and we are trying very hard to help folks avoid that and really lay out your plan, your options, and kind of jump over that wall, because places like Aljoya are just fabulous. And we've never, ever heard someone say we did it too soon, but we've always have heard on several occasions, unfortunately, that we really wish we
did it sooner.
did it sooner. Exactly. And the other option is that just anticipating change. This is what you people are all ahead of the game, because you're participating and thinking about this and doing the right thing. What you're seeing on your screen right now is what we call kind of a blueprint to liberation. Really, it's the freedom of making the choice, minimizing the stress, and really getting on the other side of that that line that makes your life better. We see people who are houses with yards that are just overwhelming. They're once beautiful yards, and it's too much. And same with the house, and they're lonely. And I have spent some time with folks at Aljoya in a very, very controlled, conscious manner due to COVID. And it's really nice that, they could come down and sit in the library. And that's really important, the socialization, because we really see people's worlds get very, very
Isolated.
small. Yeah. Yeah.
So how, one of the things that we really believe in, and to Tam's point, is clients doing their due diligence. And it really starts too with those uncomfortable conversations that possibly start to have with your family or adult children, especially because there's sometimes can be such an emotional tie to the home itself, because that's where the memories were created, and that's where the kids grew up, and they saw mom and dad, doing what they do best, which is loving the kids and working hard. So one of the things we wanted just to provide some really good resources of reading, just to continue to help, navigate these conversations and even thought processes into your own story and what you're thinking would be the next best thing for your next chapter. I'll let Tammy.
One of the, these are some of the books, and there's links to these books that are at the end of the presentation, and then we can also get from Larry. But some of the ones, they're just some fabulous resources. If you're just starting to look into this, you don't want to go sit with a lawyer and all that stuff. You can really look at some of the processes. One of the things we do have concern about is, the caregiver and who's going to take care of their loved spouse or partner. And what happens is that who's going to take care of the caregiver? Because a lot of times that is an issue, and that's very important. But this is a really great book. It's called The Other Talk, and it's really about talking to your family about what you want, how you want it. You really are the driver here, and sharing it instead of having that awkward feeling in the room. Sit down and talk with them and talk about what you want, how you want to make your housing options and all those other options participate. And that is a great book. We'll point to some others as we go through and address the resources we have.
Thank you, Tammy.
Sure.
So education is definitely, the best way to go versus being reactive and everybody having to make last minute decisions. And unfortunately, we do see that. But again, thank you for attending. One of the biggest things that Tammy and I, as we started to dive into our senior transition specialty, is really understanding that, yes, we are real estate agents, and that's how what we do by trade, but our passion goes a lot deeper than that. And so really trying to portray that and communicate that to our audience is very critical, given that everybody knows a real estate agent. So
everyone knows 20 real estate agents.
So we honor that. So we've taken actually a number of years and really educating ourselves and equipping our team to really position for an successful transition, and understanding to all the different components that come into play when one is making this transition to especially Aljoya. So we really want to just elaborate that it first starts with your story, and bringing any team into your home, real estate team, really that's where it all will begin. Because to put a sign in your yard, anybody can do that. Our goal, and many real estate agents out there would need to listen to your story, understand what you're processing. Have you made that decision yet? And what does that look like? Some are obviously maybe downsizing to a Rambler style home, but many of you have made that amazing decision to to go through and become a resident Aljoya. So first it starts with that. And then it also begins with, do you have a date in mind? And from that, we start to tend to work backwards to really create what we call a timeline of execution to ensure that everybody is on the same page, and we're setting you up for success and a smooth transition. One of the other things that we're really passionate about is we love inviting the family or the adult children to partake in these conversations.
Or your support, whoever your support
group is.
Resource is.
Sometimes we find that if the adult children are not present, whether they're living out of state, they're busy with their own lives, raising the grandchildren, different things like that, they start to kind of come into play or come into the story upon the time when we're about to list the home. And that's when it can get very emotional. There's a lot of opinions coming at the parents. It can get very confusing for everybody. And so we really, from the very beginning, welcome, by your permission, of course, to invite the family to partake in any conversations, to ask us questions, to interview. So these are different things that can just really, and long-term, set up for success down the road and ensure everybody feels secure with the team of choice, and also with what every step is going to look like.
One of the things too, and we've done this a fair amount, we've seen a lot of different scenarios, and one of the things that we really we sit down and we're going to tell you what works. It may not be what you want to do, but we are going to at least share it with you
about your home,
about the process, what works best, and keeping in mind what works best is what works best for you. In terms of real estate, our goal is to sell your house for the highest and best price, period. We all get that, but how do we do that with the transition? So when you're looking at this timeline, this is one of the things that is important to us, is really the fact that you'll see here, the best way to sell your house, and this is just how to sell your house, is for you to be moving to Aljoya already, or out of your home. The reason for that is that the stress is really that transition. once you really settle in and work with the team at Aljoya, and they're amazing on what they do, the floor plan, the furniture, they replicate, an example of how you're living now and how you can take your furniture and your life
Working
into the
closer to
Aljoya.
Kathy.
Yeah, and it allows you to really focus on that new and energetic lifestyle. Some of the things we'll say, we put together a calendar, and back to Lindsay's point about your resources, we're going to put together a calendar for our clients, and it says, here's what you start with, what you're going to take your apartment, and then you move on to what your kids, and we'll say, okay, the kids need to have other, have them come look in the next week and have them take what they want, or friends or whatever. If they want to identify sentimental things, they're going to take them and set them aside. And then the next step is, do we want to have an estate sale? Those can be very, very, lucrative and beneficial to everybody. Are we going to have a estate sale, or are we going to have a garage sale, or are we going to donate? And then we walk through and separate those things. But really, going back to your story, what you define what your health needs are. Do you anticipate long-term healthcare in the future? Do you anticipate, who's going to be the caregiving and partner, and what are your next steps? And do your housing options currently meet your needs? And then we go forward. I think one of the things we always get asked is, why should I sell now? And this is an important question because if you had asked this in 2017, we would have said now. And 2021 it's 2017 on steroids because of a number of reasons. And we want to share that with you, regardless of who you choose to sell your home. Understanding those things are important. First of all, personally, if you can make your life better, that's a good reason to sell. That's part of the picture, and all the reasons we mentioned above. Understanding the current market conditions is imperative, and we all watch the news. We know what's going on. Interest rates are at an absolute lowest point ever, and so money's cheap. Your money, if you
From a buyer's
from the
perspective.
buyers that are coming in and looking at it, it's very inexpensive. And even people who could pay cash are borrowing money because they can make 12 or 15% in the market right now, and they can borrow it too. So even very strong buyers are out there, and there is an incredible shortness of inventory and this used to be, you would hear the $500,000 and the $600,000 mark, and you'd have multiple offers. This is going all the way up to multi-million-dollar properties. Everywhere we were involved with an $8 million property, we're involved with a $600,000 property, and there are more buyers than there are properties. So by definition, you are getting the best showcase that you possibly can on your home. The absorption rate. One of the ways we do this is not only do we keep on tabs with economics, but every single day we look at King County, how many houses come on the market and how many houses go pending. And every day there's an average of double the amount that go pending that come on, which defines the absorption rate. And by definition, your inventory is shrinking with your pending, and the new inventory is not keeping up with it. So by definition, you're in a seller's market, and combined with a strong job market in this area with Amazon and everyone developing on the east side, Costco, everyone. We are fortunate to be in a very strong job market, and we're also in a beautiful area. A lot of people are moving here, so we're seeing a lot of that shifting. What we keep track of, California, that's another piece. California, they are fleeing California in droves right now. The number one place that Californians are moving is Washington. After that comes Washington, and then I think it's Texas. No, I'm sorry. The first place is Texas. I apologize. The first place is Texas, then Arizona, Colorado. We're number 4 on where they come up, and this is the most recent statistics we've read. And we are clearly seeing it. They're avoiding taxes. They want to avoid the tax. There is a potential gain, a proposition for 2022 that could affect capital gains, which are now 20%, could go up as high as 40%. So we're seeing a huge amount of influx from California. Well, you can't get a house on the islands right now, San Juan. It's impossible. People are either moving to their second homes, buying second homes, leaving urban areas, moving to suburban areas. Mercer Island is amazing. We have a lot of corporate people who live in Queen Anne and Capitol Hill, and they're coming to Mercer Island because it's just enough suburban to make a change. And
probably also Bellevue in the area. We see a lot of
in Maple Valley.
We see a large migration also just internally within the Seattle area, more people are coming over from the Seattle side more than ever. And even, you know, the move, we call them the move uppers. So those who are looking for their next big home, their family, they have 1 or 2 children. And so they're coming from the West Seattle area, Shoreline area. And so they're looking for that house that they're gonna continue to raise their family in. And so the east side, Bellevue, Kirkland, Mercer Island, of course, most definitely, and Sammamish areas are very sought after from the Seattle market. You also have, what goes into play there is, unfortunately, the West Seattle Bridge. So although many people are working from home, it's getting to be very daunting to move out, to do anything out of West Seattle. So that's another reason why we're seeing a migration over here.
And just, you
And
know, a
job
lot of people,
growth.
yeah, and downsizing. A lot of people that have, you know, maybe in their 50s, 60s, they've raised their kids, they want to move somewhere smaller, and they're seeing people, all sorts of people move into the island. So that, along with, you know, the financial options to make a change. We'll get into this a little bit more, but when you do put your house on the market and we come in and share with you what you should do, a lot of people, it's important. Some people think what they should do, some people think what they shouldn't do, and we really will help you and guide you on what is the best way to spend money on your home, but not overspend, and do the right things, what the market's doing. And just like when we talk about the idea of selling your home after you're living in Aljoya, there's all sorts of financial options. I know with Aljoya on bridge loans.
That's wonderful too.
Yeah, I mean, that's just amazing. That makes it easy from the transition side. The other side of it is that our organization, we're with Realogic Sotheby's International, which we are, you know, international, very broad and very huge exposure across all markets. We have what's called Zoom Casas. So say we sit down and we say we need a paint, we need a carpet, we need a stage. The Realogics organization, through our Zoom Casa program, will loan you the money, and then you don't have to pay back until you sell your house at closing. It comes out of closing. So there's options to minimize the burden of the cash, you know, flow of selling your house.
I wanted to compliment your, pull this down.
My mask.
I want to compliment your mask. I wanted to just compliment your point to the bridge loan with Aljoya. So just a little more understanding on how that works. So ideally, just to eliminate the stress of living in the home when we list the home, when it goes to market. We always advise, no matter what season of life you're in, we always say, if they choose to live in their home, take a staycation. And the reason being is because the market is so saturated with buyers right now, the traffic is incredible. And so pushing the green button, for example, and going live on a Wednesday here on Mercer Island, we would expect anywhere from 100 to 200 couples through given that weekend. And so if you can imagine yourself living at your house and having, you know, managing the in and out and everything.
Just the disruption.
And, you know, to honor the fact that we are concerned about COVID, and having you transition already to Aljoya really takes that stress off your mind, you know. So, but what happens with the bridge loan is that we would partner with Aljoya, and Larry would drive this timeline. Is the bridge loan is to give you a peace of mind. So you move into Aljoya with the bridge loan in place. And then we probably very shortly after that, because we've been working behind the scenes, will then list your property. We would expect, given this market and what we've been even seeing in 2020, is that we're probably going to receive an offer within the first 2 weeks of being listed, if not shorter than that. Ultimately, it's probably 24 hours.
We can share a
but we don't
story.
want to be too
Optimistic.
Yeah. So what we want to say to that is, what happens when we get a really strong offer is that this buyer will be offering a 30-day close or sooner. Closing means that is proceeds in your account. And so what happens then is, working with Aljoya, you can then pay back the bridge loan and convert to whatever financial process obligation that you have going forward, to make sure that you're comfortable with your new home there at Aljoya. So
And I think to tag on to that a little bit about the bridge loan is that, you know, that has a scary connotation. But the bridge loans, I think, are around 3 months. And so fortunate right now in this market that there's no reason a house should sit on the market for 3 months unless it's overpriced, frankly. So the fact that the timing is working great, that's not really as scary as a proposition as it may sound, because it's really easy. And then 3 months is a lifetime, frankly, in today's market. Real quick, we had buyers we've been working at for over a year, and they looked all over. They found a house. It came on the market at 4 o'clock, West Mercer Way, about 3.5 million. It came on about 4 o'clock on a Friday. They said no showings till noon. We got in there at 12:15. They loved the house. They've been looking all over it. They love the house. It was booked. You electronically book show times on the internet, and it was booked all the way through Sunday. And the off time was 7, so the family was living there. But our folks came in, loved it. They got an inspector out by 4 o'clock that afternoon. It's been 3 hours. They wrote an offer at 8 o'clock, and we had the property by 11 o'clock that night. And there was already one other offer in, and several showings and proposed offers coming in. So if you do it right, it's really a very quick, efficient process. But that is $3.5 million. I mean, that is a very luxurious property. So price points not really deterring this type of behavior in our buyers out there.
Okay.
So what's next?
What's next? Really what it gets down to is, can we sell your house for highest and best? Absolutely. I think it goes, the most important component to your transition is, I believe, and Tammy can complement this, is the emotional component. And that really also is part of processing through your belongings, and what that looks like for you personally, going through those different things and what should I take and what should I leave behind. So there's different ways that we help navigate this process. In tandem, we would also be working and preparing your home for market, and we'll go into that here in a minute. But one of the things that we really just want to share and really communicate to you, audience, is that it is about your story. And so although we put a timeline on it, we understand that there's a lot of process behind the scenes, emotional. We've brought in adult children too, of understanding how this is all going to look. And so what we do is we put together what we have been doing in the last couple of years is putting together a consortium of vetted service providers that will help, that really collaborate and complement Tammy and I's mission, which is first and foremost your story. And so those service providers are, for example, we have Hannah's Attic, Girlfriend's Estate Sale. Those are two things that we look at. We also have different people that would help us with organizing. It starts probably there.
And they specialize. I mean, they specialize in exactly this scenario. You know, they're not just people moving. They are working with what we call our aging rock stars and helping them in this scenario. And they're fabulous because they do it over and over again and they know what works.
Yeah, I think to the point of starting, it's better to start ahead than be reactive to your next steps. Is we've had organizers start coming in a year, maybe 6 months, 3 months prior to the actual move, or the real, dig our heels in, get the house ready preparations. And what they'll do is they'll just work room by room. Of course, you're the captain of the ship, so you'll be directing them as to different ways or different things that would maybe be tucked away in tubs, that would be organized for donation, that would be maybe a pile set aside for the estate sale if you choose to have that. And offline, we can go more into that if you have any questions. And we also have, and we don't like to call this, but any junk haul, old paint cans, anything like that. And so really these
Sofas.
So these areas within the home start to kind of create these the processes as to what each pile will do. And so the downsizers also kind of can work through that emotional piece of, you may have some really great family heirlooms that have been with you for generations, and you're not just quite sure how to depart and what to take with you to Aljoya. And we also complement that process with Kathy at Aljoya, because she we'll have a floor plan for you. And once we have a clear understanding, or you do, as to what you really would like to take, working with the organizer, she's going to help provide that floor plan for you so you can live comfortably and almost hopefully replicate similar to what you had been enjoying in your current home. So when it goes back to the service providers, what we really want to do is let you know that we will hold your hand through the process. And that's really, when you're looking for, when you're looking and interviewing your real estate team to represent you, that is a very critical component to the process of listing the home, because detaching, if Tam and I were to detach from that process, we really would not be able to clearly understand where you are within the timeline of the move. And so really hand-holding you got, coaching you guys through whatever we can do to provide that ease, that would be where we really shine. And that's one of our important pieces to our process.
Yeah, and just to be clear, what we really want to do, just so it's very clear, for instance, say we're going to walk through and say, first of all, painting, excuse me, painting is probably the best investment for the least amount of money to, get your house ready. If you need several things and one of them is painting, do the painting, those kind of things. We're going to guide you on that. But more importantly, this is the part where we saw the deer in the headlights early on in our devotion to this cause, is we will provide 2 painters. They'll come and estimate. We'll meet the estimator. We'll make the call. You get the estimate. It's your decision. But we will do the meeting. We'll do the coordinating. We'll walk through, tell them what needs to be done. And then we'll meet them when they need to have, to be let in, that kind of thing. It's all those daunting logistics of every little thing along the way. That's where we step in. We don't just say, here's a painter, let us know when he's going to paint, or tell him to paint on this day in the calendar, that type of thing. So we really differentiate ourselves and devote ourselves to being really feet on the street for you guys and helping everybody to make that transition on every step of the way.
I think to complement and kind of finish up on this topic of preparing your home and providing those service providers for you, we had 2 questions come through prior to our webinar, which was wonderful. And one wrote, we have lots of stuff and we need to get rid of, donate, sell, discard. They're disabled and will have, they would need to have some on-site help. Can your realtor suggest people to call on to prepare for a move to a senior retirement community? Absolutely. So again, we have already interviewed, vetted these service providers that can come in and really take the reins on any given thing that we're looking at, and what in particular, what is donated and what needs to sell. We talked about Hannah's Attic, and we also have Atlas, who also takes things for donation. They'll bring back the tax receipt, so you have that as well. And then another question that we had, and this is now going into what we do want to talk about, is preparing your home for sale. And this is another topic of concern that we get actually quite a lot. So we've packed up the home. You're now living in Aljoya. We're working on, getting the home market ready. The goal is always not to spend a lot, right? We want to just get the home to look its very best that we can on a minimal budget, so that you can still have your net proceeds be very profitable on your return on your investment with your home sale. So do you want to pull the net proceeds up?
Sure.
One of the things that we wanted to provide you and just kind of give you a
budget.
Maybe go back to the budget a little bit.
Yeah, so we put this together.
This is something that we would work through with our clients, and this is about the time where they've really been able to work with Aljoya, and they're maybe even about to move there. We always want to keep the plate somewhat light when we're talking about processes and transition. So really coming up with an example budget of things that we may need to do in the home prior to sale will happen a little bit more downstream, because it can be very daunting at times. So what we did here was we put together an example budget of a moving company, things that you would just have to somewhat consider. as you start your transition to Aljoya. Downsizing specialists, typically those people that we have vetted in our toolbox are on an hourly basis.
They'll come in and estimate, they'll see.
Right. And then we have the donation drop off. We talked about that. They can come back 1 or 2 or 3 times depending. And again, they don't come and estimate. We just give them a call and they'll come on in. It's fairly inexpensive. The estate sales, we typically are seeing that they charge a 40% fee up front. So what they'll do is they'll do a walkthrough. We typically have both or 3 estate appraisers come in and look at what we have remaining in the home. Time they've now taken the keys for about a week, and they'll start processing the tagging everything, pricing everything, and getting it all set and go. And then usually the estate sales happen usually over the weekend with pickup of larger items on Sunday. And then we also have, following that, we have the painter. The painter usually comes in after the estate sale if needed. And we always have this kind of lighthearted joke. We paint to sell, not paint to live. And so, we always want to keep in mind that a buyer, and we're not always painting. These are just examples, by the way, on this budget. We always want to keep in mind that the buyer may also have their own vision as they come into the home. And so we really are just trying to set up for success and really make those neutralize and make those pictures, those marketing pictures look amazing. We also have equipment maintenance. This would be your furnace, appliances, anything that needs a little bit of TLC to get it ready for market. When we do go live, we do have buyers that will do their due diligence and have an inspection. In this market, it's a pre-inspection. And what that means is they'll come in prior to making an offer and presenting anything to Tammy and I, and they'll bring in an inspector and go through the home. And then they'll decide based off their findings if they would want to move forward. It's pretty not invasive at all. But we would always attend those inspections, and that's to be welcomed because we want to keep clear communications with the buyer. So again, furnace things, these are different things prior to listing. Landscaping and yard clean out. We have a fabulous vetted service provider running him around as we speak all over Seattle
and Kitsap County,
who will come in and do again landscaping, clean out, and also power washing. And then in process and in tandem with that, we then have the home deep cleaned. Not so much sterilized to honor, to be protective of COVID, but just really cleaning the home and making it look great for our customers that will be coming in. And then windows, and I mentioned power washing. So what happens here is you see we've put together, these are kind of forward thinking general ideas that we may need. Now, what we do find very common is that our clients don't have are not able to access enough funds to maybe to pay for the painter or the furnace service or the deep cleaning. So back to Tammy's example of Zoom Casa, which Sotheby's offers, is we would have these, we would all decide as a collective group that our budget will be no more than 10,000. On our net proceeds that I'll share, we put it at 20,000, and that's all to get the highest and best offer. And so with that, our service providers will be paid by Zoom Casa, which is hosted by Sotheby's. And then at closing, prior to you having your net proceeds deposited into your account, those service providers would be paid through escrow. So, and then you would be given your remaining net proceeds. And so Tam, do you want to go to the net proceeds? Okay.
Hopefully you can see this. The average price on the house on the market, on Mercer Island right now is 1.7. And I think depending on what area of Bellevue, it's a little higher. So we just shot out a $2 million number for a selling price on the property. Do you want to go through this or do you want me to go through that?
You can
You
go
want
through
me
it.
to go through that? Okay. And this is just an example. And one of the things that you go through is really your real estate fees. Now, on the real estate fees here, one goes to the selling office and one goes to the person that brings the buyer to the to the
2.5%.
property.
2.5%.
Each of these are at a 2.5%, so it's a total of 5% on this example here. Typically on a 2 million property, you're not going to have to spend up to the 6%. But at the same time, the value is really the agents working together and negotiating. When we have a listing and then we have buyers come in, we are very adamant about speaking with the buyer's agent, letting them understand what matters to us, like a quick close and is very important to us. Best price, quick close, that type of thing. No inspection or waive the inspection, just minimize all of the hurdles that might have to go over in a interaction. And we really set our sellers up so that an offer or offers that come through are very clean and we don't have to do a lot of jumping through hoops. There's not a lot of work to catch up. We want all the I's dots and the T's crossed, and then just really discuss the terms that matter. And they know ahead of time what matters to our people. Going through here, there's escrow fees, which is that's a split cost between sellers and buyers. And the title is something that you as the seller will pay. You do pay for title. And actually the reason that you pay for title is good because you are paying to ensure that you are selling that house free and clear to the next buyer. So they can't come back down the road and say, hey, there's a lien on this house, or there's a this on this house, or the property line is on the other person's property. It's really important. You're paying for the insurance of you transferring that property free and clear of any what we call cloud title, which are elements that could bog down the transition of title to a new person. Excise tax, this is one that is, we didn't put the property tax in here, but whatever you pay in your property tax is prorated, and either you owe and it comes out of your proceeds, or you paid in forward and it comes back to you. It's just where the tax time and when you sell your house falls down. Excise tax is a big one. Washington does not have a state income tax, and they kind of get you at any tax that you can. And so this is a fee that the more you spend, the higher your taxes. So it was a graduated tax. It used to be a flat tax, and now it's graduated. So actually the people who are selling in the low price points, 500,000-600,000, their excise tax rate went down. But once you hit over 1.5 million, I believe it is, and the title company manages that, and our managing brokers, they start escalating. It's graduated more taxes. Your price value goes up on your home. That's an important one. And a lot of times, unfortunately, that can be something that's not known. And this is really the settlement statement for you when you're selling your house. So if you owe money on your house, that's where any mortgages you see under the mortgage costs come in. So we just threw a $300,000 number in there. Maybe you have a reverse mortgage on your house. Maybe you have a second mortgage, those type of things. And then you really get down, there's really some kind of ancillary housekeeping costs, which are recording and filing and so on and so forth. And at the very bottom, what you do see is the $20,000 that you put in there to get your house so that you could get that $2 million price point. And that's what you're netting out there at the bottom. Now, again, this is just the document that comes through the title, and it's for the costs directly associated with the selling of your house. I think I mentioned earlier, please pay attention to the potential for this capital gains. Capital gains is on any gains, whether it's your house, your stock, so on and so forth, if you exercise them or sell them. So that is a real issue, and we want to pay attention to it. We're watching it very closely. So again, capital gains right now are 20%, and there is a proposition in conversations right now with the government that it could be as much as 40%. Probably won't be until 2022, and it'll take a life of its own, so we're not sure. But please just, be cognizant of that, and we are staying on top of that too. So really, I think,
Do we have any questions so far? We're doing all the talking.
Yeah. We're good at it, but we love to hear your thoughts. Let's see. Let's see, do we have any
I think they'll read it.
right here?
Yes,
had
I have a question. My name is Philip Benson, and
Philip.
hi. What is the pre-list prep charge, the extra cost? What exactly is that?
Yes, so we'll go back to that. Pre-list prep is really a moving target. And so what we want to do is kind of walk through, when we do a walkthrough of the home, we start to look at some things that may need to be done prior to listing the home. And the goal there is to ensure that you get the highest and best offer. What you want to, oh yeah. Did that help?
Yes,
I
it
can go
does.
further.
Thank you.
Okay.
No, that explains it. I understand.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Philip.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
Mr. Seneker?
Yeah, Kim Seneker. Basically,
Hi.
we live down in the Camas area, Camas, Vancouver, across the river from Portland. So the market is good down here. It's not as obviously vibrant as it's up in the Seattle area, but we are probably going to be listing our house for sale in the spring.
Uh-huh.
And you know, I've looked into what's called senior move managers. But I hadn't heard about the certified senior real estate specialist. We actually have talked with a Sotheby's realtor down here who happens to live down the street from us for about 3 houses down. But I'm wondering whether or not there's anyone in the Sotheby's group in this area that does the same kind of things that you guys do.
Well, you hit the jackpot today, Mr. Seneker. One of our team members, Heidi, who is not with us today, she's in our office here, but she's also a part-time resident of Oregon and is licensed in Oregon. So she's very familiar with our process and can definitely be a resource for you.
Well, we're actually in Washington. We're in Camas, Washington,
Well, sorry.
right across the river from Portland. So we,
Right.
you know, we would use a Washington broker, obviously.
Yeah.
But so I was kind of curious whether there's anyone in this area with Sotheby's that you know that does the same kind of, goes through the same kind of senior move process as you do, or whether we would be better off looking at one of the, what they call senior move managers that are, you know, are certified by there's a National Association of Senior Move Managers. And there are several people around both in the Vancouver area and Portland area that cover the whole Portland, Vancouver metropolitan area that do that kind of work. But obviously it would make it easier if we were dealing with the same person who's the realtor that's also the senior move manager, so we don't double up either in costs or in inefficiencies. So.
Right. Well, I want to kind of complement what you're saying and maybe hopefully provide a little bit of clarity. So when you look at the senior service move managers, I mean, we have met a great group up here in Seattle. One of the things, though, it can get very costly because you're paying for the senior service move managers. In addition to, then you have the whole listing fees that Tammy went over on the net proceeds.
Right.
So one of the things that you would want to maybe do as and we can help provide, maybe offline, provide some resources and even Heidi would be able, interview. But what is one of the things I think that why we partner with Aljoya so well and some other communities is that we have, if you look back on the listing office, let me pull this off here real quick. Yeah. So the listing office fee and the commissions, we had this at 2.5. Average is 6% for the seller to pay the fees. But what we do, and because we're so impassioned, is all that hand-holding that we had talked about through the process of way down prior, 6 months out, 1 year out, 2 months out. We are here, and that our fees are rolled in. Our service is part of that commission. So to complement what you're looking for, yes, you probably would be more, it'd be more beneficial and more cost effective if you can have a real estate team who specializes in senior transition and really understands the story and what is needed from beginning to end, and really be that project manager prior to even putting the home on the market. I mean, once you go on the market, there's 180 steps in a transaction, and that's even before negotiations. So really having this, hopefully, and I think Larry will be sending out this PowerPoint, really going through and use this as an interview guide, if you will, and see if your prospects that you're interviewing for helping you sell your home are willing to take this under as project managers. Because, you know, it's one thing to try to prep the home, the actual home, also work through the mental piece of that, the financial piece of that, really helping support the family behind the scenes with their questions and their concerns. And so if you can roll that into a real estate team and you can find that, you would be probably a little bit far better off financially than having those two costs.
I think also too, what Liz, you know, you're going to pay for all those things, painting, if you have to have anything, plus you're going to pay a fee on top of that for someone to manage it. And that's the part that we include.
Right.
The other piece of it is, you know, what we do, we work, you know, our commitment and our dedication is to Larry, and he has people coming from all over, which that's why that community is amazing. But they may have houses anywhere. And depending on the property, we will travel to wherever it takes to sell the property. If it's too far, that's probably a 3-hour gig to get to your place down there.
Right.
Yeah, that's 3 hours.
Yeah, we'll on your behalf, we will also reach out and we can interview agents, and they could be our team member with their feet on the street to take care of your house. And really the taking care of the house is to get it ready and showing it. But a lot of this, the world is virtual right now. We do a lot of cases where we do tours virtually. People buy houses by walking through on FaceTime and Zoom. So if you would like us to do that, we would be happy to reach out to a team member and do the interviewing down there and find someone who could be our feet on the street. And they would just basically be an auxiliary to our team, and we would employ our processes that we work with here. Because at the end of the day, if you're here and you know, the transactions, everything is done virtually, you know, you're going to be signing documents, you're going to be, you know, overseeing things for the most part here anyhow, versus you having to be there once we get certain things out of the way. Showings is important for them to be there.
Why don't we talk about this offline? I'll be honest with you, I'm a little skeptical about dealing with a out of town, if you will, that far away real estate broker for several reasons. And not the least of which is that the team that you've assembled up around King County wouldn't do us any good down here. So, you know, the repair specialists and all that. Yeah. But why don't we talk offline so we don't tie other people up?
Sure.
I can give you our phone number if you'd like that.
Well, we'll get it through Larry. Thank you.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I have another question, and we're getting close to time. We know it can be daunting to look at a screen for so long, but one of the other questions that we had come through prior to the webinar was, can we sell our house as is? I have kept up with important maintenance service for the home, the yard, but not the interior of the house, painting, repairs, cosmetic improvements. We can't afford to spend a lot of money having unnecessary work done on the house. What is the solution? So the key word in that question was unnecessary. Tammy and I were kind of just
going back and forth
last night and really trying to help this particular person set up for success. So when we talk about, and when we sit down with a seller, the goal is to get, how much can I get for my home? And pricing your home has a lot of different components to it. And we can go on to that, you know, everybody offline, because there's so many different ways that we come to really, we dig our heels in to price that particular home that we're looking at. But on this question, unnecessary was one of the key words that kind of popped out to Tam and I. And yes, you can sell your home as is. The problem with that is if you don't do any pre-listing preparations, meaning painting, which is one of the bigger ones cosmetically, and repairs. Let's say you have shingles coming off your roof. You have a gutter that's not working properly. Let's say that you have maybe some caulking in the bathrooms and the showers that need to be looked at, and the yard needs to be cleaned up. Those are some really actually more inexpensive things that we can do to really make the home sparkle. And the goal is to capture the buyers. What can we do from a marketing standpoint, and also from our material facts standpoint? Material fact meaning, you know, the materials of the home. which would-
Integrity of the home.
Yeah, like the crawl space is a big one. Is there any rodent activity? These are things that if we can do a little bit of work and set up for success, then we're not going to have buyers, you know, run the other direction when they're doing the pre-inspection before they make an offer. Buyers in this market are smart. They have very smart brokers working on their behalf. And not only are they looking at price per square foot, they're also looking at their lifestyle when they move in. If they look at the fact that they have rodents in the crawl space and shingles off the roof and tiles falling off in the bathroom, for example, or the carpets torn up in the office, they're going to turn the other way. Because what happens from a buyer's perspective, and we like to wear two lenses when we're selling a home, what the seller needs, most importantly our client, but what the buyers are going to look at when they walk through that home, because we do work with buyers very, very often. And so we really want to come in with buyer's eyes, understanding that I have a 2.69 interest rate. I have a very hefty down payment. And if I also have to consider the fact that I'm going to be moving and what my transition looks like, I don't want to move into this home and have to put forth another $10,000 to $15,000, $20,000 in items that have been not cared for example, or deferred maintenance. So we really want to make sure that on those points that we can really drill in as much as we can. And that's where Zoom Casa comes in again, is really putting together, even if it's $5,000, if we can put together a budget and have those service providers come and set the home up to the best that it can be prior to listing, then we know that we can, you know, get you the highest and best offer.
Real quick, and I know we're winding up. 97.
Are we?
We are.
Talking live.
97% of the people find their home online. So the preparation that we go into, which is getting the home to look as best as it can, getting it staged was very important, and getting the top photographer. We use the same photographer on a $500,000 house as we do on a $7 million listing. We do the very best of everything
And
on every listing.
This is part of our
We
service
pay
fees.
for this, yeah. We pay for the photography, and we pay for the marketing, so on and so forth. But the point being that 97%, especially with COVID, people find their houses online. Now, the good news is 99% of them use a professional agent to represent them. But nowadays, the key is to get them into that house. And we want it to look good. We want it to look clean. People are fine with homes that might be a little bit older if they've been well taken care of. And people can tell that a house has been well taken care of. And those are the kind of things that we want to make invisible and have someone come in and just have it neutralized to look at their home. One other piece too, I wanted to really step back quickly, is that when we talk about getting your home ready and then moving forward and actually into Aljoya first, I was mistaken. I think I said the bridge loans are 3%. I think Aljoya, who uses their own bank, are up to 12 months. So I apologize for that, because it's really, I know it's a great deal. And so it's even better than I thought. So I think on that, you know, we could talk about this for hours, you guys.
Questions.
And we're happy. Any questions? And thank you so much for your patience and your attendance. We'd love to hear any questions that you might have that we can help you out with. If you don't have any questions, real quick, that's a little bit about us, but here are some great books. And we put them here, and here's the links that will be available to you. This complete elder care planner right here. There's some great, just sit down on every aspect of what you're doing. It's nice, you can do it in the peace and quiet of your own home. There's another great book, which is Who Will Take Care of Me When I'm Older? A lot of us are single, and how does that look and what does that mean? And it's also about the social piece, and there's some great resources and even links to legal, financial, medical, a lot of definitions and descriptions in there. And we try to stay on top of that stuff all the time. And AARP is a great place also to get some of these. So can we answer any questions or any thoughts Probably,
I have one question for you guys. Can you hear me?
yeah.
Yes.
Who is this?
Oh, okay, great. My name's Lori.
Hi,
And so how much of your time or percent of your business is done related to the senior mover, seller, versus just regular real estate for other people?
That's- I think that's a great question. I would a 45 to 50% is probably our focus. And a lot of times it might be, we're working with adult children of seniors that are helping them too. So probably at least half, I would say.
I think we
And-
made it oh, go ahead, Lori, sorry.
And when it's not necessarily a senior, I mean, that depends on what your definition of senior is, but someone in their mid 60s type thing, that would benefit from some of the services. When you do sell a house for someone like that, do all these things come with it as well?
Yes,
Yes, absolutely. I
This
mean,
is
I'm
how-
61. My friends are living in big houses and they're just moving to a condo.
well, and
Right.
I think Lori, to your point, do we provide these services if they're not in the senior community? Is that kind of what you're maybe
Well, sort
asking?
of, yeah, maybe not this
So,
round, but the next round,
know-
yes, but this round not. Yeah.
I thank you, Lori, and I think that just to complement what you're asking, we absolutely, this is how we care for our clients across the board. So, I guess to the point of Tammy's story with the 3.6 that sold on the island, the lightning speed transaction, that is a very affluent young family with 2 little girls. And we project managed them buying the home. So once we went into mutual contract, we worked with different providers that needed to be at the home. And now they're prepping their home to sell in Seattle. And so they're busy doing their life. They have very, very demanding careers.
They're using one of our organizers from our team
Uh-huh.
that started 3 months ago and just room by room.
And then they're traveling a lot, more road trips with the girls to kind of just get them out of Seattle. And so there are different providers that are coming into the home to prep for listing. And we are on standby to meet those providers, to really get quotes, to make sure they're doing the work properly. And then we communicate back to the client. So this is just a service that Tammy and I, we need to take it beyond just putting a sign in the yard and the marketing and the staging. It goes way beyond that. This is client investment and relationship investment. So we just to your point, yes, we do this everywhere.
Okay, and then in that example, are you not only help them to buy the house, you're helping them to sell their house. So you're working on both sides because they're gonna move locally or whatever. Okay.
Right.
Or they move locally and you're gonna sell. And then the last thing was on the capital gain changes, taxes. The last I heard on that is that gain was not going to be on home sales or like retirement accounts and things that aren't normally taxed when you buy and sell. And I don't know if you've heard something different than that, but that's what I've heard.
I have not heard. I was just reading about it. It's probably been a week or so since I was reading about it. And they just, the legislation I was reading, or the interpretation of the legislation, was really all capital gains. So it was any type of investment. I think there might have been an exclusion on 401k type of things, but I'm
Well,
not.
they can't tax
Not the
buys
401k.
and sells and for. So what I had seen in the paper, at least, it excludes gains from retirement accounts and home sales, homes. So I was just wondering if you saw something different than that very specifically.
We have a research analyst that we will bring this up to and make sure that we stay on top of that. And we will get the information to Larry so
And
that
share
he
with
can
you.
push it out to share it with you.
Yeah, and then I was also thinking that it had something to do with your income in the year that you sell. And
Yeah.
of course, there's the exclusion that you can have if you're a married couple and lived in your house for over 2 years to 500,000 gain. So there's just a lot of components to it.
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right. Exactly right. It's just something to be aware of and keep an eye on, and as it gets clarified.
We'll send that to Larry to pass on to you for we'll do some additional due diligence today and send that on.
Great.
All right, thank you so much, Tammy and Lindsay. That was a really great presentation. And thank you so much for the resources too. That was all really great. And we'll be emailing everyone with your evaluation forms. Your feedback is very important to us. So, and if you have any questions about Aljoya Mercer Island, or if you would like a tour, our phone number is 206-230-0150. And we will also be hosting a downsizing webinar on February 4th. So we will be getting in touch with you about that as well. That'll kind of tie things together with this. And anything else, Larry?
Yeah, just want to thank Tammy and Lindsay, and also all of our clients that are on today. The biggest question that always comes up is, I'm not ready to make a move yet. And bringing seminars like this, now you're one step closer. You just met a nice team here that can help you in town, out of town. They can help you with that. They're going to give us some PowerPoint, some book links to send to you. This is just information that you're gathering in order to get you that one step closer. And believe me, David and I have been doing this a long time, and we're the point person. We can get you connected with Tammy. We can get you connected to other resources. We can do this to help your life, make your life. All we want to do is just simplify your life. Just make it as easy as that. And you want full scale everything, they can get your house ready to go, or you just want a minimum, they'll discuss it with you, but whatever is right for you, we're going to make that happen. So everybody have a great weekend, and thank you for our presenters and our clients that are on today. And we wish everyone a very good 2021.
Thank you.
Thanks. Stay well and healthy, everybody. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.